She stays very easily. She goes up quickly. We need to get to the court daily, where we are the defendant, and we are the judge. I need to put myself daily. The day ends, I need to put myself in court. And there I'm a defendant and I'm a judge, because it is the opportunity I have to unravel the lies I told me. To unravel the lies I told others. Those scams of my personality. If I do not take care to turn into the scams, the masks, the hypocrisies. So I daily take me to this court where only honesty is allowed. And here comes the big question. We all need to enter this context of light, illuminate our way of being to find out where we are excessive, where we are cruel, where we kill the other with our word, with our opinion, with our nature, where the other is more than us too, that we need to allow it. Sometimes I see that at least my experience is so good when I find someone who is much better than me in a place, that I know I'm fragile, that I know I don't have that skill, and I find I exact gear, not in the usefulness of that person, but in full recognition, her meaning there, from difference, and how much I am better with this coexistence, with the different from the other, with what he challenges me. It's so intriguing because there are people you will know and you live up to. You get angry, irritates, and it pisses to the other's way, because it is the way you would like to be and can't. Your way of being can already what's bad. It's true. The other, for the simple fact that he is by my side, he already questioned me, without saying anything. He, living by my side, being my neighbor, he interrogates me. But we have to lower our weapons. It is inner effort. We can't forgive. Sometimes we carry diseases. We get ugly as we are carrying the grudges. We get bitter. A stiff face that we keep for so many. And that is that story. If I hurt the other, I hurt myself first, and the grudge is being impregnated in our house. Impressive how matter absorbs this. The house of us, the place we live, the place we work. We will deposit it in our wardrobe. And we are really impregnating. Sometimes we enter a house and you don't know how to say why you don't feel right there. We feel. It looks like it has a burden in the air. It is the life that expresses itself in everything we choose. In the details, right? All the details have what we call the reason for our loves. In the details of my house, in the details in myself, I express the state I am in and what I really love, and in which order I love. What place am I going? It is my ability to do my part to open the drawer and say that this drawer is an expression of my soul. There are excesses here. So when I will make what I keep and insist on keeping, it is as if I were doing a spiritual exercise as well. Osizio, you said something that is very certain. We are very cruel. And this week I'm specifying who I'm cruel. And I challenge you at home. Who do you exercise your cruelty to? As good as a person is, at some point in life, he discovers a Christ to make cruel. Today I even cried about this fact, when I began to identify that my cruelty is justified. I have all the arguments, as I care about logic, and I am naturally logical, so I need to argue, to regiment all the reasons why I am being cruel. And it has no cruelty. And then there is no room for you to regret, for you to recognize yourself. There is no room for regret. It gets heavy. It gets very heavy. And suddenly, the other ends up being a mirror of what you denies most in yourself. I think it's so liberating when Wayu can tell us, I don't deserve anything. It may seem cruel. But when you detach you to deserve something, sometimes what makes me difficult in the relationship with you is that I think I deserve your attention. So, if I can stop thinking I deserve it, my relationship with you is much more free, and suddenly you will surprise me with what I don't think I deserve. But it happened. The logic of merit is very cruel in relationships. We go to the relationship with the other by putting a very large burden upon him. I need you. I deserve you to treat me like this. That you do that. You have to do that. You have to. Oh my God. And of course, there are many things that we deserve. The question is a human dignity. We will not give up our human dignity. I deserve to be respected all the time. I'm talking about the superfluous, which sometimes we are putting in the context of our relationships. This makes reconciliation very difficult with each other. It makes it difficult because forgiveness is that too. It is me to admit that you have no obligation to meet my expectations. And I have to admit, learn, assimilate, and install me in this place. Because sometimes it is said that he forgave and ruminate the story all his life. Whole life. And it is not forgiveness. I think we don't hit as able to forgive the other if we do not fully recognize ourselves able to commit many evil in life. If I do not recognize that I have evil, that I am able to make mistakes a lot, I will not be able to grant this to each other. And trust. 2 weeks ago, I could have a wonderful dialogue with my ex-husband. Let me correct myself. Declared. So, my old friend. Your friend, right? My friend. That's right. He's a person who did very well, too. It was beautiful. A man who played a role in his very important life. Yes, and it was very humble from his part, because he told me that he needed to live a half-culp. He needed to tell me the things he was realizing only now. Like friends. How long did you stay together, I say? We stayed 3.5 years. Married 2.5 years. And did the Unial Declaration come out now? He left in December last year. Very unique. Very unique. Cristovan Basso. Living a lot with him now. Because we are producing a job that we will release early next year. Then, a genius, Christopher. One of the greatest composers of our music. A great conductor. So we were talking about loneliness. He said like this. As I am in need of loneliness, and only now has it grown inside him, he said. But for a man who is married is difficult at home, and you live this pain to defects. You have to know how to calibrate well. Balance your time well. Have to have mutual understanding too. Because there are meteors that don't need so much solitude. But art needs. Imagine you make your mosaics with the kids running around the house. I need to. I admit that I miss. I like to travel alone sometimes. But as we are proligal, I don't know what we're talking about. Of forgiveness. I was saying that I met Jada, and it was very beautiful. His attitude of recognition and relief in being able to have room. I think forgiveness is a violent attitude inside, brave. But it is a cleaning lady. It is a very cleaning attitude. We keep stones if you don't forgive, because it's you have to know the difference in expectation and hope, eh? Yeah, two very different concepts. Yeah, expectation you feel the other than he can't carry. And of hope you have to admit that he may not get what you want and ask yourself. I accept anyway. Interesting, I say. You give up all that context you had, although it was not very conscious in you. That was the natural movement of your wedding. The choices you were making at that time. You exercised in what I think it is more sublime in a person's life, which is to be able to renounce what you have achieved, not of yourself, because it will never give up. But when you are able to look at the success you do, and you say, it is not the most important to me, knowing how to get out of the scene, isn't it? To renounce yourself is not to forget who we are. It is renouncing the excesses of what we bring. It is looking at the suffering I have and being able to renounce the excesses it causes me, so I get the part that can teach me. The pedagogical dimension of a fact, the pedagogical dimension of a tragedy. And I'll be back to what I was saying. When you see in these serious religions that start from a love principle of God, respect for man, which I think is the most honest day that every religion needs to live. It is just when it teaches us. And I am very happy to be a Christian. May I'm very comfortable from the word of Jesus, which teaches me the way of lightness. The way, as the Buddhists say, I never think that, but illusory, right? Because we dress good what is bad. Did you wonder if you would go vain to sleep today with what God has done in your life? I have to sleep naked in this truth. I have to unravel my soul daily and say what God has done to me and serve to this day. This is wonderful from our church, but especially from the invitation of Christ, the examination of conscience, this thing of every day to confess. Look to yourself and the exercise. There is the beginning of our philosophers, who supported everything that people have to get organized internally today. But to remember faithfully, tell yourself again. Extremely fidelity. Everything you really lived. Now Celine Dion has announced that she will stop singing for an indefinite time. Oh my God. Just as she did when she had her last child. How much time? Is she about 4 years without singing? 5 years. 5 years. I had the opportunity to listen to it in one of those return shows. When I heard that woman singing, all of that production, I said, my God, how did this woman once consider the possibility of stopping it? She now canceled over 180 shows. There is no forecast back. Because of her husband, she stopped to take care of her husband. There is no forecast back. This ability to relativize the success it makes. This is very noble, my people. This is too hard. Getting out of the scene, and sometimes we see us attached to a misery that should be ashamed, right? A woman like this, I can use an inappropriate term. She evangelizes me. She evangelizes me with this attitude of her. To be able to choose her family. Look, my family is more important than all that is great in the eyes of the other. A person who tars the backstage, and then to be happy, and be at peace, and know that it is still on the axis. And if you get out of the scene and be unhappy, it's not getting out of the scene, right? Your soul remains there, because then you would be unhappy and not match the choice. But getting out of the scene and being whole is really a mature soul, right? For me, the great secret of life is acceptance. To accept. What is it to accept? Lower the guard and stop fighting with life, right? I was hitting that word of the Bible a lot. He accepts everything that happens to you and in pain remains firm, because in the crucible of humiliation, that man will learn to be truly honored. And I thought, could Jesus accept everything, but everything is all? How so? To accept is not to be passive in the face of life or things that depend on me, but having a spirit of constant acceptance makes you much more docile to what works and not. You get much more sensitive to the truth, life, sensitive to beauty, but it is a conscious option, well awake and demanding by humility. It is a small exercise. I say it's exercise because it's not very natural to be humble, no? You have to be very aware of yourself, the arrogance,